summer practices, they've been over for a while.
Yeah.
You guys are going to get back together soon. Like, what do you hope to kind of see from them when they get back together here?
Yeah, I think, we had a really good summer. So just trying to see carryover, I think we got 8 new guys. So you're just trying to kind of speed the process up and, hopefully, there wasn't too long of a break in between when we finished the summer with conditioning and with retention, and just be able to hit the ground running with workouts and make sure that we have a really good fall with skill development and, getting everything that we want in before, I think, September 25th when we first start practice and have a big run at it this fall.
And Dawson missed a lot with the second half of the summer practices.
Yeah.
Hurt his foot still a little bit better.
Yeah, he's great. I actually saw him today. He's able to do some limited shooting stuff. We're obviously going to be supremely smart with, the process, and I know what he can do, so I'm not as worried about that. Got us now going in his 3rd year in our system, so now it's more of just making sure health-wise that, everything goes as planned, which it has, and he's a little bit ahead of schedule, and him. I mean, he's antsy to get back full-time, so it's good to see him back doing some stuff, but again, we'll be smart with that.
Is there more weight on Dawson's shoulders when he's healthy, just coming into a season like this now, being in a program multiple years now? I mean, does he have more to carry in a season like this?
I think for him, because he's a competitor, every year he wants to get better. Every year he wants more on his shoulders. But as far as expectation, it's just continue to be consistent. Sure. We've got the benefit, and we did it intentionally, of having a lot of older guys, so he doesn't have to carry as big of a load with hopefully the production part. But I'm fully confident the way he's played in the spring and this summer that he's going to be able to have a really good year and just basically go from where he was at the end of last year. I know, he's really excited and looking forward to just ending it the right way and doing whatever he's got to do to help us be successful.
Are there good and bad with the non-conference schedule? Just what do you like? What don't you like? Do you wish there were more Power 4, so to say, programs on there?
I love it. I think, and again, sometimes the hardest thing for fans to grasp fully is so much of it can be a numbers game.
Sure.
And you look at our first year, we played at Mississippi State and at Pitt. I think Mississippi State was the NIT team, and Pitt didn't have a very good year. And then we played in a tournament with Western Kentucky and Princeton. Princeton was really good, and Western Kentucky, I think, won 19 games. Well, we win those games, and I think we were comfortably in those, early tournament predictions. So you look at those numbers, and we kind of try to do the same thing as best we could this year.
Sure.
We're in a tournament. You don't know who you're going to get. There's a chance we could have had Wake or Florida in the first game and had them in the second game. But you look at Wake and Florida and where they're at. I think both those teams are ahead of Mississippi State and Pittsburgh from our first year. And then, you take Yale, who I think is going to be right up there to win the league, going to have great numbers, going to win 20 games. And then North Texas is very similar to Western Kentucky in terms of, they're going to be very competitive in their league. So, I think it's a give and take. You don't always know. You don't know your team fully, and you don't know the other teams. So sometimes it's like, all right, do you roll the dice and go with the team that, quote unquote, might not have the name, but over the course of the year has been really good in their league, versus if you play sometimes a Power 5 team, if they're not good in their league, the game does you nothing. So it's great to have a name, but if they finish bottom 4, the numbers, don't matter. So you try to have the balance, you try to make it as competitive as possible. It gets harder and harder now with just the portal and with, just neutral site tournaments and neutral site games. And so, you just try to do the best you can.
Do you like being out on the fair on a day like today where it's a chance to engage the fan base in maybe a less formal setting than what you normally have?
Yeah, no, without a question. I think anytime you're able to walk around and engage with the fan base, we'll have our team out here today. For the fans to be able to talk to our guys and see our guys. We want to be as part of this community as much as possible and want to be, representation of this great state. And this is a great opportunity to do that.
You're coming off the season, you win 19 games, you win a 19 game. Do you start to feel like you're building something here? Does it feel like this, you're on the pace to take the next step?
Yeah, I think, if you look at kind of the course of where we started, you try to have a plan, and I think we've progressively, gotten better as far as our program and where we wanted to get to. And for year 3, you have a kid drafted, you win 9 league games, you win 19 games, you make postseason, you win a game in postseason on the road. those are all really good steps. And so now we just got to find ways to continue that progression. And now I want our guys to view themselves as winners. Like, we don't have to teach that like we did last year, where now it's carryover. And again, it was intentional to have older guys that understand that message, and I want them to have that confidence in our building, and to realize that what we did, we don't want that to be a fluke, and you got to act like it.
You talked about Cam getting drafted. I know there's not that pressure on Isaac Asim, but
Right.
you've seen from him from this summer. What have you seen?
Yeah, no, I'm obviously a huge fan. I mean, we were, both him and Grayson. Physically, they're in a great spot, not built like a typical freshman, which will help. But Isaac's ability, I mean, he's not obviously as tall as Cam, but there's a lot of similarities with just IQ, feel, play the right way, a development type player where they understand you got to put the work in. I think he's going to have an extremely bright future. Really, really excited to get him now fully ingrained in our program.
What's the key focus when you have so many new transfers again? What are the things you need to work on, and how much of that is kind of refined after having done it multiple years, acclimating guys to the program?
It does. It reminds me so much of year one. Older and new bodies. That's the hardest challenge, is how quickly can you get everybody on the same page? And I think it's just a relatable thing. I don't know if you guys watched the Florida State football game. They played Georgia Tech the other night, and I want to say, I was talking with PJ, I think last year's team, there was a lot of turnover, and that helped them be really successful. I think this year's team, there was a lot of transfers that were talented, but there were a lot of new transfers. And it just goes to show, like, it takes time, and early in the year, you're going to have some ugly games, some ups and downs, you're going to have some doubts. It takes time. You just got to stay the course. Thankfully, we've been there, I've been there, but it's, how quickly can we get guys acclimated? That's why for this year is the first time ever we've done 2 exhibition games. I didn't want to do a close scrimmage. I want these guys to play in Williams Arena, behind fans, with refs, to get those game reps. It's not a close scrimmage. I wanted, Luke Kai to play in front of family as soon as possible, so that the first game wasn't the second time. Like, he gets that out the way. I think all that little stuff, to me at least, whether it matters or not, matters to me. But I just think those game reps are so key. And again, that's why I like this team, the maturity of them. I think they understand it. There's an urgency to them that understands that. And there's an IQ that gets that.
Sure. What are your food go-tos here?
What's that?
What are your food go-tos here?
Oh, man. I want to try, I hope I don't get this name wrong. I think it's like Eddie's, which has a new Philly cheesesteak. Somebody hit me on. I want to try that. That's on the radar. The donuts is always on the radar.
It's a long line.
Yeah, it always is. And maybe some strawberry milk.
You mentioned talking with PJ. How often do you guys chat about stuff? Kind of what's the relationship like with him, coach to coach?
Yeah, no, it's always, as you guys know, great to pick his brain. I mean, he's doing this a long time, and he's got a really good view of not only the landscape, but of Minnesota and what makes it, successful here, and what you have to do to be successful. Because I think every school is different, but to have a coach that's been here for a long time and has success and understands the uniqueness of the spot that we're in, the different challenges, the different positives, to be able to have that, kind of back and forth, at least it helps me. So I always, look forward to, picking his brain, and just seeing kind of what he thinks of certain things in the landscape and how he's navigating stuff. Because there's a lot of similarities, and it's sometimes when you're at the top, it can be lonely. So to be able to have somebody that you can bounce ideas off is always a good thing.